Hi everyone, today we are talking about licenses. So licenses in place of leases, which tends to mean we end up talking about parish councils, scout huts and schools. So those sorts of things where you maybe have been in place in that setting for the last 30 years, but on paper you have a 1-year rolling agreement or 1-term rolling agreement, which means at any point you might be chucked out. Now, these are a real problem when you come to sell, because actually, as a seller, you have the security of going, well, we've been here for 30 years. They want us to stay. There's no reason why this should be a problem for a buyer. And you're right, logically, it shouldn't be. But actually, any buyer who's investing in a business, especially if there's any form of finance involved, which for the majority of people there is, they need to have that security of tenure. And unfortunately, even though you've been there 30 years, a 1-year rolling licence or a term time licence doesn't give you that security in which to secure lending. So it's going to have a direct impact on the value that they're willing to pay for your business. So there's things you can do about this actually early on, and it's something that I spend a lot of time discussing with people when they're 2-3 years away from sale. Because actually for a lot of times, licenses or those type of very short leases, they're really only in place because that's always been the way it's been approached. So you may have been there for 30 years, and 30 years ago, that might have been the perfect agreement for everyone involved. But actually now you're in a position where you can say, well, why haven't we done a 15-year lease? You say you want me here for the next 15, 20 years. I'm happy to be here for the next 15, 20 years. So why are we actually going through the hassle of just renewing this every year? Why don't we make this formal and put it in writing? This is especially worthwhile exploring because if you have a place in a school or like a property that's on school grounds, or if you are in a church, obviously the emphasis nowadays is on them making their own money more than ever before. And they have to be able to kind of support their own growth through things like their license agreements. So in reality, you know, it's worth having those conversations because actually it probably works better for them as well if they have the security of a long-term tenant. Go and have the conversation. You know, start it early though, because actually when you have things like parish councils, or you have maybe a council run overarching lease and then a scout hut that gives you like the under lease, you might need to start those conversations early because it's going to be a lot more complicated than someone just saying, yes, here you go. It can take time. I'm currently in the middle of a sale where the leases conversation has been going on for 3 years. And this seller cannot secure the value on her business until that lease is concluded. Don't assume that everyone else is as invested as you in getting things sorted as quickly as you, or that actually it's going to be a very quick agreement and very easy to resolve. Parish councils, as a general rule, tend to be volunteers. They tend to be people who maybe aren't as involved day to day. And so you need to have those conversations well in advance to lay the groundwork to make sure that you can secure the lease you need to maximise the value of your business when you do come to sell. I think the key takeaway here is don't assume that what you have now is all you're ever going to get, especially if this is only a historic, it's always been this way, so this is why we keep doing it. The needs of your landlord have probably changed as much as the needs of you as the tenant have changed. Have those conversations and see if you can lay the groundwork. Because it may mean actually that firstly, your business is worth a lot more. Or if it is that there's no alternative, it may mean that your exit plans have to change. It may mean that you might have to look to relocate. Or you have to accept that maybe you aren't going to get the value for the business into the pension pot that you wanted to, and you might have to work a little bit longer. You need to be thinking about these things as you approach sale. If I can help with that at all, please do get in touch, ask any questions, and otherwise I hope you find that useful, and I'll speak to you again soon.